these things happen, but we're glad you joined us. So,
there we go.
Okay. So if you'll please state your name and address and just briefly describe your project.
Yes, I'm Mark Gooseman. This is in reference to 810 Biddle Street. I want to put a picket fence, approximately 3 feet tall, near the parking area in road, which is out front.
Fence there already?
No, there is no fence there at the moment.
So it's my understanding that you want to put a vinyl fence, right?
Yeah, picket fence is more for ornamental than anything else. It's just rather a blasé area. And it'll define the parking area that's there.
Mark,
Book 2, Section 5 discourages vinyl fencing.
Yes, and since I made this application, I've found some antique pickets, wooden pickets, that I'd much prefer myself. This is unpainted, and here's the painted, and they're 3.5 inches wide and 3 feet long, and I'd prefer to use those. And I think the statutes would prefer that as well.
Yes.
And
But,
so it's the neighbors.
Yeah, and I hadn't located those at the time of the application. So,
Okay, great.
but if I could amend it to use wooden pickets.
In that case, I'd like to go to page 52 of book 2. And it says that new fence and walls should be similar in character to those seen historically. That's B, Susan, and that's just B itself. And B1, a fence that's on a front yard is usually low to the ground and transparent in nature. And this is, it's picketed and it's low to the ground. B4, a wood fence should be painted and it's intended to be painted.
Yes.
B5, plastic and vinyl fences are discouraged, and this is not one. This is a wooden fence. And those are the ones that, and D, appropriate fence materials include wood, iron, wire, stone, or plants.
Excellent.
So that's page 52. It's, ouch, section 3 of chapter, whatever, chapter 6.
Bible and verse. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anybody got anything else? Do I hear a motion?
I would move that we approve the wood picket fence as proposed with the sightings noted.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Yay. Okay. Well, thanks for coming.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Certainly. Okay. Cindy, can you just get started on the next one? I'm finishing my paperwork here and we'll keep rolling.
Okay. Michael Peterson is the next one at 2074 Clear Creek Drive to install an egress window. And I think Mr. Peterson is here with us. And so, Mr. Peterson, if you would state your name and address again and tell us a little bit about what you're doing, that would be helpful.
Well, yes, good evening and thanks for your time. I'm Michael J. Peterson and the address is 2074 Clear Creek Drive, Georgetown. My wife and I bought this property in October of 2020 and we use it as a second family home. And we have a garden level and there's an extra room in that space that we use frequently. And we would like to make it a little bit safer and install an egress, or I guess they're calling it an escape window because it's above grade and it's also located underneath a deck and facing south. And that's what our request is for this commission.
Okay.
Mr. Peterson, that window actually is not visible from any public way, is it?
No, our property faces west, it faces the lake. And this would face south towards our neighbor to the south, but it's underneath the deck. So no, you won't see it from the road.
Yeah, you scarcely won't see it from anywhere.
Well, it would make a tremendous change to the room as far as just ventilation and safety for my family and just some natural sunlight as well.
Well, we would again be in book 3 on page 93, except that it's very difficult to find a guideline that really pertains to your particular window because it's not a visible part of the structure.
Do we
Particularly,
really need a guideline? Could we just not include on the COA that we found it to be appropriate from a safety standpoint and that it won't, just note that it would not be visible from by the public?
Yes, and I actually, on here, there's the part about is the condition of the existing improvements a hazard to public health or safety, which without the egress window kind of is. So
Yep.
I'll just check yes on that. And
yes,
then we'll
Yeah.
say this will bring it up to a better code
yes,
standing. Okay.
yes, but
Okay.
I'd like to mention what Bob mentioned on being, not visible and a response to basically a health hazard.
Yes. Okay.
And I would move that we approve the application for the egress window with the sightings or with the conditions as noted,
Okay.
something like that.
With the rationale as noted.
Sounds good.
Do you hear a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Against? Okay, great. Well, thank you for coming in.
Well, thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think I'm caught up. All right, Marv Geisness. And I believe we did review this one. I have my notes from last time, but we decided if we got the changes that we had requested, we could go through it quicker this time without having to leave things extenuating, so.
So did we go through it did you guys go through it point by point last time?
You know
We
what?
started to and we got sidetracked. So we really
Yeah.
didn't finish it.
We went through and had some things that we wanted to see addressed. And so we basically did a review of the things we wanted to see addressed before we went through the point by point, because, they know, and we've been through several houses over there. So these were just specific issues to this house. So we should be pretty straightforward.
Okay,
tonight.
I have another specific issue that I'm not sure that I saw mentioned in your specific issues.
Uh-huh.
So should I bring that up first or when we come to it?
Let's come to it, okay? Because
Okay.
I've got kind of my notes here, if you're okay with it.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. All right. Hi, Tom. You want to state your name and give us the project here? Is Tom on? No volume.
There we go. Unmute. Tom Peterson, obviously working with Mark Guides this here again, lot 3 in the Washington Mills subdivision on Main Street. I forget the address again right off the bat.
9:30.
930. Thank you. There's
Okay.
Mark.
I finally figured out how to get my ugly hairdo on the picture. Marv Geisness, 917 2nd Street, Georgetown.
Okay. All right. So shall we just start the review as usual, or do we want the specific things addressed that we talked about earlier?
Can we just, run the review maybe so we get it all down?
Sure.
We would start on book 2, page 9.
Okay.
Masson, that is section 1 of chapter 1. We're in the historic residential character area, mass and size, and I would think the applicable guidelines would include A, 1, 2, and 3, and B, and C.
Okay.
And then the next page, page 10, the building roof form. The guidelines would be A, again, 1, 2, and 3, not 4. And B, 1, 2, and 4. And there are no dormers, and D.
Okay.
That then moves us to building setbacks. And A says maintain the alignment with fronts across along the street. Well, you're establishing fronts along the street, so you don't really have an alignment to maintain at that given moment. So
What page are we?
we're on page 11,
Thank you.
but A1. And then the whole thing skips to the next section of the book. It skips to
44.
page 42, I believe. Yeah, to the guidelines for settings in chapter 3. And the first one, Marv, was natural resources, and it was talking about trying to protect existing stands of vegetation. You're actually going to try to save those trees, right, that are between those two houses?
Absolutely. We're hoping that there isn't root damage, but we very much want to save the tall pine trees. The scrubby brush, no.
No, yeah, that's, yeah. I think that's pretty well understood that the scrubby brush goes, but it would be wonderful because it would give those houses a break from each other. And I think we all realize that with the construction above them and below them, we have to cross our fingers for the evergreens, but at least you're trying. So I would say page 42.
Section 1, B2.
Yeah,
E is in boy too.
B as in boy too. Yes.
Okay.
And page 43, I don't quite know where we are with drainage. So
There
somebody,
is an overall site drainage plan that Craig has presented at previous meetings, not the DRC, but it has been accepted. And we're very cognizant of having good drainage.
I'm sure you are. Mark or Sean or Bob, does anybody have drainage questions for this?
No, we looked at that one earlier, and we've looked at it on some of the other properties. I mean,
I think on the subdivision review, we kind of had the whole block drawn up, and then we have seen it on some of the past ones that it's all being addressed to be respectful or whatever the term would be.
Then I would say on page 43, under 3, we have 3A. Drainage should not adversely affect adjacent properties, and we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, the site plan also reflects the drainage, which is kind of reflective of the big overall picture. There's basically a drainage and utility easement between the lots. And so we'll be sloping to those areas, and then which will eventually run to the road if we get that big washer.
but it
Yeah.
seems to me covered. Page 44 is the site relationship and building orientation, which I understand was a piece of the question.
Yes,
And so at this point, this point, my notes don't match what's in front of my face. Isn't that not good?
So the front door now faces the street.
yes,
Yeah, and it would be section 5C, orient the new building parallel to its lot lines. And it is parallel to its lot lines.
Mhm.
And D, orient the primary entrance of the building towards the street, which I think was the big one.
Right. So,
yes,
And I think you accommodated that pretty smoothly.
yes, nicely done.
Thank you. Yeah, we
And
like
so-
that as
And
well.
so the ski locker is kind of inside the hallway there, or have you moved that somewhere else?
Maybe it's in the
That'll be
garage.
inside the garage.
Okay, okay,
And it could have D1 in it also because buildings should have a clearly defined primary entrance, and this does. Providing a porch on a residential structure to divide the entry, which it does. And then D2, the gable end of a structure should also face the street, and there's a good gable end towards the street. And I don't know what page I was on for those notes, but
44.
page 45.
44, 40.
If we go to 45, we're on building setbacks. And I think that we can use they maintain the pattern of alignment for building fronts. And it does. A1. I don't know if anybody has any others. Maybe B.
We did D already on the preceding page, 44.
I can't hear you.
I said we did D on the preceding page, 44.
Yes,
Yes.
we
okay.
did.
All right.
I guess on 45, which is section 6, C, the decks, balconies, and porches should not significantly encroach into front or side yard setbacks, and
They don't encroach in anything.
they're not encroaching at all.
Yeah. Okay, then, I didn't do anything on pedestrian systems, which would be the next thing. The next one I went to was page 48, landscape features. Actually, on page 49, and this is the one I'd like to talk about for a minute, because I'm a little more adamant about this, because maybe I'm a little more awake. It says define interior walkways within a property to distinguish them from public sidewalks. Appropriate materials include flagstone, brick, gravel, or exposed aggregate concrete. Standard broom finishers or concrete and asphalt are not appropriate. And I mean, we have aggregate concrete all over town. If you walk down the 6th Street, every driveway pan that you go across, every handicap ramp that goes down, the curbs, the gutters, all of it is aggregate concrete. It ends up making it look a little more natural in its environment than the broom smooth concrete. And yes, we put the Davis color in it, but without the aggregate, well, if you look at the little rounded corners that we had to fix downtown, you instantly see what the difference is between one and the other. The Presbyterian Church, the whole front is that aggregate concrete. If you looked at the Hamel House walkways, and they've been there for 30 years, they've had no problem whatsoever. And they are handicapped, there's no problem. It doesn't, an exposed aggregate that is embedded in the concrete does not cause any problems. And I would like to see us stick with our guidelines. And stick with the materials that our guidelines say. And I'm wondering if the applicant would be willing to do that.
I have no problem with that on the walkways. It was unclear to us after the discussion last week, which was really preferred by the commission, but the walkways, no problem with having exposed aggregate.
I would appreciate that because I think the guidelines are pretty definite, actually.
Okay,
We're
so,
talking about the driveway as well.
yeah, so part of the discussion last time about this, and I know that you wanted to discuss it, Cindy, and you weren't here, was the difference between a pedestrian way, which are the downtown areas, and this is an interior, sidewalk on private property. And then the distinction between a sidewalk or walkway interior and a driveway. And the question I think mainly we had was, does the exposed aggregate hold up as a driving surface? And is it easy to clean and shovel and everything?
Well, if you walk down 6th Street, when you're walking right across between the Happy Cooker and the building that's next to it, you're crossing an exposed aggregate driveway that has had a garbage truck go in and out of it for the last 35 years.
Okay, no,
and
I
it's
understand.
And it's doing just fine.
Okay, well, we have tried to be responsive to, people, I guess, building a new home and planning to retire and the ease of maintenance and shoveling and stuff. So do we want to make?
It's a smooth surface. It's
Yeah,
not a rough surface. It's exposed, but it's in the concrete. You're not asking it to stick up. We're not asking for big chunks. It's basically a pretty fine aggregate so that you end up with a smooth surface. Because we all want to be able to shovel.
Okay, so I guess for the rest of the group, is this agreeable that from here out we just, the problem also has been that even though we have specified this on projects, then it didn't happen. So I guess we need to have a firm consequence for the specification on this. We've got plenty of smooth driveways that were supposed to be stained and aggregate, and they are.
Right, and they aren't.
So
Marvin's not going to do that. If he says he's going to do it.
No, I know Marv will do it. We know where he lives, right?
I would only ask for definition of exposed aggregate because Cindy, I think I now understand what you're suggesting. There are other exposed aggregate driveways, like 300 rows, I believe, is a very rough exposed aggregate. And it sounds like that's not what you're recommending.
No, because you want to end up with a smooth surface, Mark. You do want to end up with a surface somebody can shovel. And if you look at downtown, it is very small aggregate. It's not large pieces. It is small multicolored aggregate, and it is included in the concrete. It is not laid as a surface on top. And the minute you do it that way and you roll it out, then you've got a smooth surface. I mean, it wouldn't have lasted downtown. What's interesting is if you cut the curbs downtown, you will find the aggregate goes all the way through them because it was not superimposed on the top.
We probably should go ahead and take an action item for the DRC to provide a more specific spec
Yes,
for what we expect to see.
yes.
Okay. Do we
You
need
know,
to
it's kind of a brown tone pea stone, like 1/4 or 3/8 inch stone would be the largest.
Yeah,
And that makes a nice driveway,
yeah,
a
it's
nice walkway,
little,
'cause it's small.
Okay.
it's small.
I mean,
Okay.
I would certainly support that if we can,
Let's
we
define it.
kind
Yeah.
of specified the Davis coloring in a little more detail with the mix and so forth. We can add something in there for what we mean by an acceptable
aggregate.
exposed aggregate.
little bit of texture to it. Okay, is that,
We will take that on.
is that agreeable then, Marv?
Yes.
Okay,
If people don't do that going forward, do we tar and feather them? I mean, what happens?
well,
Well, I think that Betsy, if we are far more specific about it,
Yeah.
and that they know we're watching, we will have that less of a consequence. Because it
think-
is,
It's one of those things we probably ought to get incorporated into their building permit as a
Yeah.
check item for the building inspector.
Do any of you think there's a prescribed mix from the concrete company for what you're asking for here with the small pea gravel?
I suspect there is, and that's what we need to find out and
Yeah.
make that available.
yeah, so we can
Could you let us know if you find that?
yes,
Yep.
certainly,
and we will look, because we're the ones who are.
yeah,
asking.
we need to be able to specify that, just like the stain color. So, okay.
Was there a
Okay.
reference to 300 Rose Street?
Yes, there's a driveway across from the old Centennial Mill on the backside of 300 Rose that I think in the past has been used as an example.
I
Okay.
don't think that's Rose, it's Taos, isn't it?
I
Oh,
was-
I'm sorry, not yet. You're correct, it's Taos.
Taos, I know the driveway you mean, because I'm up
Yeah.
at the mill all the time, and I look at that driveway and sort of go, really? You know, what happened there?
I have a paved driveway, darn it.
Okay, where were we?
Okay, so page 49, we stopped to pause on a concrete discussion.
Yeah, is there a landscape plan, Marv?
We do have landscaping shown between the driveway and the porch railing. There is a bush shown by the man door on the south side. We're dealing with lot 3. I've been dealing with a lot of these lots today. On lot 3, there will be, we're showing lilacs on the north side of the lot. And once we get grading done on all of these houses, we will be looking at planting front yard trees or pines, whatever seems appropriate after the grading is done. But we are specifically showing some shrubs on this plan.
Okay, so that would bring us to page 48 under landscaping. And it would bring us to B, incorporate the established plantings in the new projects. You're going to try to do that. And C, use plant materials that are compatible with the historic context of Georgetown, that essentially are things that are grown other places in town, and you're doing that. And D, use plant materials that are adapted to the Georgetown climate. And then it would also, on page 49, BF, do a little edging along property. And we have agreed upon G on the interior walkways. And you don't have any patios or decks at this point.
On the northeast corner behind the kitchen and to the north of the double door coming out of a den will be a hard surface, very small, I guess you could call it patio.
On the northeast corner, I see it.
Yes.
What will that surface be?
I guess we haven't really specified it. It's not going to be concrete. I would guess it would be the flagstone that is used many places around town for patios. It would not be loose gravel. It would not be concrete pavers. I personally don't like them.
So it's going to have a little patio.
Yes, a very small patio out in that corner.
Okay, and there's a section on, yeah, patio materials set in sand include flagstone, brick, or stone.
Page,
Like stone would be my preference.
Yes, okay. So I think that is on page 49, I.
okay.
And then I'm moving to page 50. Are there any retaining walls?
There will be landscape stacked rock, not over 4 feet in the back as the landscape or as the grading goes along. We anticipate there will be some kind of wall between, or a terraced wall, I should say, between lot 3 and lot 8.
I would think. And you have enough rock, I think.
Well, do you have some more for us?
I saw a little over there the other day.
Oh, God, I think you've got the biggest rock I've seen in a very long time hanging out in your project, right in the middle of it. It just, I don't know what you're going to do with that thing. On page 50, it's section 2, retaining walls. For new retaining walls, use materials similar to those seen historically. D1, natural rock or stone, which is essentially what you're talking about doing. And E is minimize the height of the new walls so that I mean, you can step them back, but so we don't, I don't know
That's
how
our
I
intent.
don't know how I can say this because I have a 12-foot wall in my side yard. So but our guidelines say that, you do them by steps if you need to keep going up.
Yes. Yes.
And at this point, there are no fences, correct?
That's correct.
All right. So we don't have fences and we don't have sidewalks.
Is there
And
going to be any screening around the pedestals?
Say again, say that again, Sean, you were breaking up.
Sean's ask again.
To-
Sean, you're frozen.
Yeah.
What was your
any
question,
type of-
Sean?
He's
Around the pedestals.
The pedestals.
Yeah, there's one on the street. Actually, there's like 4 along the street.
Oh, with the.
Not on this property, but
You're talking about the green electrical
Yes.
pedestals that Excel put in.
Yes.
yes.
No, we really have not addressed that. I would say let us complete the grading around them and see where they end up and how they look.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
Okay, then I skip to page 54, lighting. And it just is the traditional thing that we say to everybody, that exterior lights should be simple and they should be down facing dark sky
Yes.
in accord with the other ordinances of the town. And then page 55 is the garage and driveway.
Did you have a number on page 54, something or
And,
less?
yeah, A, lights are simple in character,
Okay,
and B, that you minimize the visual impacts of them.
And C,
And
prevent
C,
glare into adjacent properties.
Okay. Okay, page 55.
55 is garages and driveways. Does anybody have any comments on garages and driveways?
We discussed this a bit last time as far as possible changes, which I see that you guys have done. It's nice. The garage door is more centered on the wall there. The man door, which was to the right, is now been moved around the corner. And there's a little roof, kind of an awning thing over the garage, which kind of de-emphasizes that a little bit. So I appreciate those changes. I think it looks good.
Yeah, so do I. And I think that helps for, this is section 6, Susan, and it on B, that the garage should not dominate the street scene. We're trying to make it not be a primary focus when you look at the house. One of the issues, because one of the major thing on this is to avoid parking in the front yard. I think that the hope is that how many houses are going to go across this, Marv? 3 or 4?
There will eventually be 4.
There'll be eventually be 4. I think it is our hope that we're not establishing a pattern of a that everybody's pulling into a driveway where we'll establish a pattern of a line of cars going down the street. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can tell you that one of the 4 will not have a garage facing Main Street.
So that would, yeah, I mean, that's what sort of what I'm saying. Can we bear in mind as the rest of them are developed that there's that we're not trying to line up a pattern of cars, but a pattern of houses.
I understand. Ideally, if the lot sizes were allowed to be, there's just not enough room to turn a car into a garage in the back that is parallel to the street. But we will work on varying the fronts, as you see in this one, the north side, the north main living area. It juts out to the street as far as we thought was appropriate, and that helps break up the sight line of cars.
Right, it does.
I would expect lots 3, 4, and 5 are all going to be similar with a garage facing the street.
They will be. They'll each have a garage, but we're again trying to. We're trying. We understand the issue, and we're trying to deal with it in the design of the others.
All right. Yeah. All right. That just was going to, bring it up as a future consideration because
We also discussed last time about this one where you've made the effort so that one car would be in the garage. If there's another car, they have room on this drive area to park to the right more than just right in front of the house. So they're not right in front of the house, which I think kind of helps too. Instead of just covering up your house with a car parked there, it's over to the side a little bit. So I think that will be better. Much as you can do anyway.
Yeah, and you don't want to block the view from the mountains or from your porch with your own car.
That's right. You know what? I really do like the porch, by the way, because now you have room for a little furniture out there and it's cute.
We don't have public and commercial parking, and we don't have service areas as much as utilities. I think that it's the standard thing that any utility device or vents or what have you should be a non-reflective finish and sort of integrated with the building. But I mean, if they're simply all black, that's fine too. Just so they don't show up as big,
Do you have a
galvanized metal things.
Did you have a page specifically or just?
Yeah, page 58.
Uh-huh.
And it's A6.
Okay.
And as much as possible, A2, you'll locate your vents, or A3, minimize the visual impact of vents.
Okay.
But, the location of things in the house, basically takes care of that pretty well.
Okay.
Nice little house.
Yeah, I like it. It's cute. Okay, anybody have anything else?
Well, we have to do materials.
Okay.
Well, we should do page 67, which is under section, it's under chapter 7, architectural features. Directional emphasis, buildings should have a vertical emphasis, and this one does. That's Susan, page 67, section 4A. And B, that the windows and door openings should reinforce the vertical emphasis of the building, which they do. And then section 5, roofs, but I'm now on page 68. No, I'm not. I'm just section 5, sort of period, the lead paragraph.
We have a skylight. I thought there was a skylight in there. I think I saw that somewhere.
It's on the
the
the low sloping roof in the kitchen. Not visible from the street at all.
It's flat too, isn't it, Marv?
That is correct.
So that would adhere to guideline on page 68, C. I just read it. C1.
Yeah, I see 1, 3, 4, and 5.
C1, 3, and 4 or 5?
Yeah, all except C3, C2.
1, 3, and
4 and 5.
okay.
And windows. And windows start on page 68, but I'm on 69, where it is maintain the historic ratio of window openings to solid walls. And that's F and F1. This applies to both historic and new construction. And this plan does that. It keeps the ratio of solid and void. And the windows are all framed. They're all trimmed out.
Yes.
So it's J on page 7.
Yeah, for J on page 70. And how is that trim, Marv? There's a top trim on your windows?
Yes, not a fancy top trim.
No, it's simple.
Simple, and our builder is actually doing a live model, so that Tom doesn't have to get too sharp with his pencil. But yes, it'll have a modest top. I call it a top hat.
Yes, yeah, well, but it's a very appropriate little sort of definition of the window. And they are, at this point, they're planned as 2/2s. Yeah.
That is to create some variability in the neighborhood. There'll be others that are not 2/2.
Right. But the 2/2s are, are one of the styles that is common. Then we're on page 72, which is under section 7. which is D, the use of a porch on any new residential building is strongly encouraged. And D1, the porch should be similar in scale to those used historically, but large enough to function, which it is. Now, on the building foundation, is there much of an exposed foundation anywhere? It doesn't look like it.
No, I'm there. We'll create a story of this house, and the area that is on the north side it might have been the oldest part of the house, and it will have a very low, modest brick foundation. All of the rest will be where the wood does not, where the wood is held up from the ground. The concrete will be painted, and then we'll just stack rocks against any area that seems to need it.
Right, we have the little rule that the foundations that have, can have a maximum of 12 inches of exposure.
These will be no more than that.
And if it's more, then you do something.
Only around the old part of the house will have brick.
Oh, I like a story.
Yeah, so the intention is not to have any more than 12 inches of exposed.
Of exposed, which is the point, yeah.
Right.
Okay. We don't have chimneys. Do we have stovepipes?
There is Tom, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, there is it's a direct vent fireplace, and that vent does end up on the north side of the building, so on the north elevation, but we intend to paint that flue to match the siding. That shows up on the north elevation sheet 8.
Okay, and it's a flue, it's not a stovepipe.
Correct, yeah.
Difference, yeah. Building materials real quickly, Tom?
Horizontal lap siding. Looks like we're going to go with the hardy board and a hardy board for a vertical board and bat.
And the hardy board exposure?
4.5, I think that's what we have called out there.
Okay. So that's on page 76. So actually, I don't have a real siding on 76. We don't really talk to new houses on 76. On
New building material starts on page 1, looks like.
one something, huh?
I think all those.
Yeah, on 81, yes, okay. Yeah, and maintaining the existing range of exterior, but it says on page 81 under new building materials is D, the newer materials may be considered if they appear similar in character. And we've used this hardy board that you're using on lots of things. So makes sense to do that. So that's page 81, 5D, 1, 2. And roof materials?
Composite shingle for the steeper pitch roof, and those lower shed roofs do a rusted metal standing seam roof.
Okay, and they're 50-year composites?
Yes.
Page 82, section 6, C, 1. We need to get rid of C2.
Yes, we do.
And on page 83D,
Let's see what-
one. And if you get it, putting gutters on it, they should be painted to match.
Mhm.
That's E.
Sean?
E was
Yeah,
good.
that was E for the gutters.
Ah, yeah, so, yeah, right, E for the gutters, I got that. And amazingly enough, I think we're done.
All right. So I wanted to tell you, we appreciate the changes you made, for our request, because I really think it turned out nice.
Thank you. Yeah,
So-
we always appreciate your input too. And it's it's a process, and I always, the input always ends up in a better result too. So we appreciate your input as well.
Yeah.
How did your client feel about these changes?
Say again? How the
The,
client?
the buyer has seen these and is very positive.
Oh, good,
Good.
great.
Something else I noticed about this one, Tom, something that kind of makes it look like an old house, like you had the story about the old part with the brick foundation and stuff. There's a door on every side. That's so,
Go us.
not typical looking. Yeah. Okay, so do I hear a motion?
I would move that we approve the application for whatever the address is, Rose Street or Main Street,
9:30.
30.
Sorry.
with the sightings noted and the stipulation that the driveway be
Into.
exposed aggregate concrete rather than brush finish,
Yes.
and we will provide the details on that.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I would second it.
All in favor? Aye.
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 I have to abstain.
Okay.
Mark.
All right, then. Thanks, guys, for coming back, and looks good.
Yeah.
Good.
looks great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay.
you guys.
I think we're going to see you frequently. I think every one of these lots is going to disappear just instantly.
Well,
Yeah.
you'll see us again next month for sure.
All right.
Okay, good.
All right, thank you guys.
Good night.
Okay, next on the agenda is myself, I'm going to recuse myself. Mark will be running this, and though I'm taking the notes because I have the paperwork, he will sign the documents for us, if that's okay with everyone.
Okay, so next up. is
I
Jamie.
also have to recuse myself.
Okay. So Sean has done so, and Joan has done so. 710 Rose Street. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Joan Eaton, and this is for 710 Rose Street. We previously submitted plans for a new front porch and a sunroom, which were approved, and it was June 14th, 2019. We are we'd like to still do the front porch exactly the way it was approved before, but we've basically omitted the sunroom, and we're just tearing off our old mudroom in the back and rebuilding a new mudroom to make a better sort of patio area, a little more usable patio area. So you should have the rest in front of you. And
John, what are you building in back?
you know what? We have this sunroom that's just not sunroom, I'm sorry, mudroom. That is basically, it was a crummy concrete little pad with a shed thing on it. And it's, we're tearing that off and building one that can actually have storage that you don't see everything's out there. So, because we walk out through the mudroom to get to the patio area. So, company and everybody doesn't have to tromp through all of our junk out there. So it's just really a new mudroom.
So what you're asking for is to re-up the COA, right?
Yes.
For the porch,
Uh-huh.
put an amendment on for the mudroom that is shown on the drawing.
Yes, so that's the new mudroom.
Yeah, because the porch stays totally the same.
There's no changes on the porch at all.
So that we should take a look at the addition,
Yes.
which is, yeah. I didn't get this
Well,
far.
the addition is existing though.
Is the new mudroom the same size as the old mudroom?
Not exactly. It's 6 by 11 and it's configured that in the opposite direction. The other one's sort of on the back of the house. It's and the way that it is now, when you go out the kitchen door, the mudroom is the same orientation as the back wall there. So the wall ends up right beside the kitchen window when you look out into the side of the wall, you know. So we shortened it that dimension and lengthened it the other way. Does that make sense?
Yep.
It was a little more squarish, I guess, before.
I think we should look at page 87 of book 2 and treat it as a new addition.
Okay.
Okay,
And-
which slidings would you like to use?
I would say page 87 in book 2, chapter 2, I guess. I'm not sure what section it's in.
What's your chapter?
It's chapter 9, section 2 for new additions. A would not obscure the character of the original building. And this A1. Yeah, I think A1, A2, and A3 apply. B. E1. B2. B3. Page 88. And I don't see anything.
D, the materials.
Materials, they're gonna match the existing.
Yes.
And it does have a pair of French doors.
Yes. So those are divided light, and it's the actual, you know, with the mullions in the glass, not inside the glass. So the panes are separate.
Yeah.
And it's a steel door. That area back there is like a swirl zone in the winter for snow, and you know it gets real icy and backed up back there. So I'm hoping for longevity out of it.
Yeah. Okay, I think it should be noted that the front door is a multi-paned front French door.
Okay.
I think that should do it.
Me too.
If so, could we have a motion?
I would move that we approve the amendment, that we approve the reauthorization of the certificate of appropriateness for 710 Rose in regard to the front porch, and the amendment to create a new mudroom in the back, a small addition in the back.
And delete the sunroom.
How about a second?
I'll second.
Is there any public comment? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 All right, thanks. Okay, and we have some minutes here.
Minutes.
Mark, I'll just leave this in your box
Sure.
to sign. Thank you.
I'll sign it tomorrow. So when it's there.
I had a correction to the minutes,
Find the minutes.
June 10th. Under Jacob Levy,
Mhm.
third line down, put a period at the end of originals and cross out the and then add in the proposed new windows are renewal by Anderson with composite fiberglass construction. Instead of what was there.
What's, the proposed new windows are,
Renewal by Anderson with composite fiberglass construction.
okay,
And then on the section 106 on the light pole, I wasn't
Hold
sure
on.
what we were trying to get at there. I think we were talking about we get the 12-foot pole, but the fixture and the LED bulbs need to match what the town or the existing town street lighting on Argentine Street.
Yes, between 15th and 11th, not the stuff from 11th to 6th, which we're probably gonna try to change to match the stuff from 15th to 11th.
okay, 15th to 11th.
And Cindy did actually write us some nice letters. You know, he had asked for specification on those actual bulbs that we wanted. So hopefully we've got that clear.
Well, when Kent and I find the light bulb, we'll have
Right?
it.
We've got it somewhere.
It's inside something. We know that much. We just haven't found it yet.
Okay.
And then the last bullet on the concrete base, I think we're talking about the exposed concrete pads and I guess base being the sandstone color.
Yes. Yes.
We need to clarify that.
Ken, what you want? The exposed concrete base of the station should be tinted with Davis. Should I change it?
Exposed aggregate.
Exposed aggregate concrete base.
No,
Yes.
I don't think we're talking exposed aggregate. I think we're just talking if you
Yeah.
can see it. Exposed, maybe we don't
Oh,
want
exposed. Okay.
Yeah, because
Okay.
maybe visible. Visible would probably be a better word.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Good.
It wouldn't be the exposed aggregate finish. It would just be a ground concrete.
On the house that we did for Marv, do we need to even list the sidings from that meeting since we redid it this time?
no, I don't think so.
Because they weren't really the
Wanna
specific
take them
ones
out?
we were
Yeah,
talking
take
about.
them
Yeah, you could just take that part out.
Okay.
I would make a motion to accept the minutes with those corrections.
I would second.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I wasn't here.
Okay. Anybody got anything else then?
I just would recommend that folks, when you get a chance, stand in front of the library for a while. Did everybody keep their set of preliminary plans they sent us?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Go stand on the patio for a while.
That's a lot of brick, huh?
Well,
Yeah.
Let's put more brick up. We need more brick.
It's
did
not
need-
that, it's not that. It has to do with the patio itself and the relationship to the building, et cetera. Yeah,
Okay,
stand on the patio with your plans, please.
okay. We can do that. All right, thanks, everybody.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.